Kadosh, good evening. Masechet Moed Katan Daf Amud Aleph 18a1. We just finished off by saying Halacha is like Rabbi Yoseh b'Moed u'be'Avel, which means Halacha is like Rabbi Yoseh, also to do with Chol Moed and also to do with Avelut, that it is permitted to cut the nails, right? Why? Because the Amar Shmuel says Halacha k'divrei mekel be'Avel. Halacha is like k'divrei mekel in Avelut. Pinchas achua Amar Shmuel itra b'Mintai. Once happened that Pinchas, so he's the brother of the Mora, which is known as Shmuel. He once had a family member pass away. Al Shmuel Mishal Tamamine. So Shmuel came to ask to speak to him, to come to speak, to console him. So he saw that his nails were very long. So he went and he told him, right? He says, why didn't you cut the nails? He says, he says, what if it was in you? You would have done that, right? You would have actually come and you would have cut your nails. Havai. Right? What happened? These words were like like a mistake which came out from the mouth of the ruler. And Shmuel, somebody passed away from him. So now Pinchas, the brother, came in to console him. He took the nails and he threw it at him. Right? He threw it at him. He says, he says, what? You don't hold of the concept that there's a brit to the person's mouth? What does that mean? Says Rabbi Yochanan, how do we know the brit kruta l'sfatayim? Shneimar says in pasuk, Vayomer Abraham el na'arav. Abraham says to his children, to the lads, Shevu lachem po im hachamor, stay here with the chamor, and I'm going to go and I'm going to come back to you. For the fact that he said I'm going to come back to you, we are going to come back to you. So both of them came back. So the fact that he opened up his mouth for the good, they both came back. So you see from here, a person should always open up his mouth for the good. So the fact that he went and he said, if it would have happened to you, would you have done such a thing? It was like a curse, brit kiruta l'sfatayim, that all of a sudden now the person passed away. So Sava Mineh, he thought that the yad in, the regel lo. So in the beginning, the rabbis thought that Shmuel only permitted the hand, because the hand is something disgusting, but not the feet. There's no difference between the hand and the feet. A person is allowed to cut his nails. Says in the name of Rav, we're talking about with scissors, asur. That means they only permitted to do it, right? Beshinui, not with, meaning either with the teeth or with your hands, but not with the scissors. So they were once in front of Rabbi Yochanan in the Beit Midrash. So they went, they cut their nails with their teeth and they threw it. And what happened? Shemamina, we learned from here, three different halachot. Shemamina, number one, we learned. You're allowed to cut your nails during Chol Moed. Shemamina, we also learned so it's not considered disgusting. But since it's not considered disgusting, you're allowed to do it in front of other people. Because anything which is disgusting, you should not do it in front of other people. Shemamina, number three, mutal zolkan, you're allowed to throw it over there. Now why? Any, are you allowed to throw nails? You're not allowed to throw nails. But Tanya, we learned in the Braita, three things that we said by Tziponai. Kovran, if you bury it, you're considered a tzaddik. If you burn it, you're considered a chassid. And if you throw it, you're considered a rasha. Right? Taimamai, what's the reasoning? So we all know that the reason why a person that burns it is considered a chassid was it's bad for him. So that's why he's considered a chassid. So he says, Tamamai, what's the reasoning why that we say such a thing? Maybe a woman is pregnant. She's going to pass on top of the nails. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be miscarriage. So Isha b'midrash shelo shchicha. So the Gemara answers, a woman is not coming to be the midrash. So the fact that she's not coming to be the midrash, they could come and cut the nails and throw it on the floor because she's not going to be passing by. But in a house or things like that, obviously a person should not cut it and put it on the floor because if not, the could cause a miscarriage. The chitem, as in the naka shelu v'shadilu abrai, says, well, once sometimes they come and they throw it outside. And once it changed places, it changed. Which means even if the nail was here and they come and they broom the floor and they put it to another room, or some people say it was just enough that it moved the places, but other people say it needs shinui of the makom from one room to another room. Now it doesn't cause any problems anymore. Therefore, even if a woman would come and she would put her feet on it, there's no problem whatsoever. Amar Rav Yudah Rav says Rav Yudah the name of Rav. Zug ba mechamatan leRebbi. There was a group of Talmidei Chachamim that they came from Chamatan to in front of Rebbe. Morzutra matni. And Morzutra went and he taught. Zug ba mechamatan lifnei Rebbe. They asked about, is it permitted to cut the nails during the avelut or not? And he permitted for them. Now, if they would have told him, right, are they allowed to come and start cutting? The safam is basically the mustache area, so he would have said it was permitted. And Shmuel says, they also permitted whether the safa is going to be b'tilam, and he said it's permitted. So Amar Avitul Safra Mishmed Rav says Avitul Safra the Sofer in front of Rav or Papa Rav, right? Safa mizavil zavit. You're allowed to cut the safa, which is the mustache area, from one part to the other part. Why? Because it stops the food. So since it stops the food, they're allowed to come and they're allowed to do that. Amar Avitul Safra Mishmed Rav Paro Shaya b'Moshe hu amaus kano ama u'parmashkato ama v'zeret. It says, do you know that Paro during the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, he was his height was an amma. You know what an amma is? 48 centimeters. Zekano, his zakan, was an amma, was also an amma. Uparmashitko, his male organ was also amma v'zeret. So, right, even before we continue, we're talking about the concept of the nails. The reason why it's brought down, and if you look in the Acharonim, if you look also in Yaakov, they bring down is because the human body was made out of a nail. So since the entire human body was made out of a nail, when Chava caused us to sin, when Chava caused the Dam Rishon to sin, and she was the one that caused the sin, so then all the skin went off, and all of a sudden the nail stayed only at the end. That's why there's still tum'ah in it. Because once upon a time, the entire skin was a nail. So what happens is that all of a sudden, right, what happens is that it was a protection. So since she was the one that caused, right, this sin to Adam Rishon, so once she caused the sin to Adam Rishon, so therefore, that's why if she steps on it, it's like a kitrug, it's like something that goes accusation against her, and therefore, as we already mentioned, it's not going to be good. Okay? The Amar Avitul, Safra Mishmed Rav, says Avitul Safra in the name of Rav. Parosh Haya Moshe Amgushi, he was a mechashef, he was a sorcerer. Shneimar, but it says in a pasuk, right? He's going out to the waters. One of the two dots. The two dots says these are the people that they come and they wash during the Moed. If somebody comes from the diaspora, Amar Ravasi, Amar Yochanan says if somebody only has one clothing, he's allowed to wash it during Chol Moed. So Mati Rabbi comes and he asks the following question: these are the people that they're going to wash in the Moed. If they're going to come from the diaspora, right? If somebody's going to come to the diaspora, people that are allowed to wash their clothing during Moed, says Ravasi name of Yochanan. Somebody that only has one clothing is allowed to wash his clothing during Chol Moed. Mati Rabbi comes and he asks the following question: only these people. But if you only have one clothing, you're not allowed to, because there was a certain list. On the list, this was a list. If they're not on the list, what do I care? He only has one clothing. He's not allowed to. Rabbi Yaakov, the Rabbi Yomi asked, I'm going to explain to you the Braita. Even though he's got two chalukim, but they're both 30, since he's a nus, that he can't wash it beforehand, but other people, that's what he says over here, Sharpnei Adam, that they do have two chalukim, they're not allowed to. But only a person that has one chaluk, he's allowed to, just like Rabbi Yochanan says. Shalach Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yaakov bar Giyure mishmet Rabbi Yochanan. Sent Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yaakov bar Giyure in, that means his name was Aviv Giyure, okay, or from Ben Gerim, he came from Gerim, right, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Klei pishtan mutar lechavsa b'chol moed. So the klei pishtan, anything to do with linen, you're allowed to wash on Chol Moed. So Mati Rav comes and he asks the following question: Hasfarim Yudchet Amubet 18b. So any type of mitchot yadam mitchot hasaparim, which are different types of like towels and things like that. Hani in only these things. Yes, but Misha no. Abai says Martin afilu d'shamanim. Our Misha is talking about even other utensils that you're allowed to. That means any type of mitpachot, which are towels, you're always allowed to. Doesn't matter what it's made of. Okay. Amar Barhedia says Barhedia dichazele Yamash al I once saw the Kinneret. That they went and they saw kelim full of bigdei pishtan, right? And they were allowed to do that. Okay, so he says, Matkip Labai comes and he asks, whoever told you that they were doing Ritzon Chachamim? Yeah, so he says, Dilma Shelo Ritzon Chachamim of them. Maybe they were doing it Shelo Kitzon Chachamim. Says the Mishnah, which means that he was coming and saying that they used to come and take out the kelim during Chol Moed in order to wash them. So they said, whoever told you that that's what the Chachamim actually want. Says the Mishnah, Ve'elu kotvin b'moed. Right? These things you're allowed to write on the Moed. What are they? Kiddushin Hashim. So shtarot av hara mekudesheli. Right? Gitin, divorce bills. Shovarim, which are receipts. Diataki, which are basically types of wills that they leave over. Matana, right? Presents. Pruzbol, which is going to actually happen at the end of this year on the end of Shemitah. Igrot shum, shtarot, right, for documents, right? He says over here that they come and they evaluate, they give an evaluation for properties. Igrot mazon, or right, different things of food. Also, shtarei chalitza. So here it says igro mazon is basically an obligation that they took upon themselves to give food, let's say to their children, or for the boys or girls when they're getting married, or things like that. Shtarei chalitza, documents of chalitza. Miyun is when they reject that they don't want to do. They write a document for a yitoma that the brother or the mother got them married off, right? The brother or the mother got her married off, and she was miyaneh. She did miyun to her husband. She doesn't want to stay with her husband. Ushtarei birurim, right? Different documents of calculations and understanding different things. Zerot betin v'igarot shel reshut. Different psak dins and igarot shel reshut. Okay, says the Gemara. Okay, Amar Shemuel, says Shemuel. Mutar le'ares isha b'cholo shel moed. Right, a person's allowed to come and to get engaged, right, to get married as kiddushin during chol moed. Why? Because maybe somebody else is going to come and he's going to get them first. So let me say, so 1 second. So that's why you're allowed to write that kiddushin. My love, are we not talking about shtare kiddushin? Mamash like shtare kiddushin. Says no, shtare psikta. We're talking about shtare psikta, which is basically the agreement between them. Okay. How much are you going to give it to your son? How much are you going to give it to your daughter? So they went and they got the kanu. Why? Which means here, even though usually you have to write something down, it's not good a verbal agreement. The fact when you're going to give something to your child, it's already enough a verbal agreement. Why? Because for sure you have so much love for them that you want to give it to them that for sure it's already going to be considered an acquisition. So why don't we say this is a proof? And no sin you're not allowed to get married on the moed. No, you're not allowed to get married. We learned this above on Chet Amubet. You're not allowed to get married on the moed. Lo betulot on chol moed. Not for virgins, for widows, for dibum. It's a simcha. But you're allowed to get engaged. So says the Gemara, lo mi ba'e kama. Right? Lo mi ba'e le'are stilo kami mitzvah. Not only by irusin, which is not even a mitzvah, but even to get married mamash, that you're doing a mitzvah, it's still going to be a soon because the irusin still is not the 100% of mitzvah. The mitzvah is the nisuin, that now they're going to procreate, but not the kiddushin, which is beforehand. So Tashema, we learned in the Braita, the Tanya, the Shemuel, Amiarsin, but not consin. They're allowed to do irusin, but not consin, but not weddings, right? Only the engagements, right? But you don't make the party. They don't do ibum. So we learn from here that that's what you're actually allowed to do, right? Which means you're allowed to do an engagement during Chol Moed. So says the Shmuel actually holds that somebody is going to actually come and get married to them first. What does that mean? Which means that there's a mazal, there's a zivug. So what do I care now? Somebody else is going to get married to them. What does that mean? So answers the Gemara, which means through tefillah, a person could come and actually destroy and get married to someone else. And because of that, so he went and he heard somebody that was praying and he said, you wanted to get married to this certain woman. He went and he told him, don't ask her that. Why? Right? He says, because if it's fitting for you, she's not going to go away from you. Right? If not, kafarta b'Hashem, what, you're going against Hashem. Right? Why? Because then when it's not going to be, your tefillah is not going to be accepted, something bad is going to happen. So Batahach Shama the Kamar, then afterwards he went and he said, he heard, right, Rava saying to that person, O iu lemut mikama, o I tamut mikame. Right? Either he's going to die first, or she's going to die before. In order that, means basically one of them is going to die first. Amales, he says, Lav, Amina lechalot. Didn't I tell you already not to pray like that? Okay. So Amar Rav Mishum ben Rabbi Reuven ben Asrolubi, he comes and he says, Mina Torah min Nevi'im Nektuvim min Hashem Isha Leish. So Mina Torah from the Ktuvim from the Nevi'im. So you have from the Torah, from the prophets, and from the scriptures. Hashem is the one that brings a woman to a man. In the Torah, it came from Hashem. In the Nevi'im, it's written, they didn't know why, because it came from Hashem. In the Ktuvim, so a woman comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amar Rav Mishum Rabbi Reuven ben Asrolobi, Amar Rabbi Arvu ben Asuri, a person is never going to be suspected of doing an Avirah unless he did the Avirah. And even if he didn't do the full thing, he still did part of it. Even if he didn't do a part of it, he was thought of doing it. So then maybe he saw other people doing it and he was happy. So Rabbi Yaakov comes and he asks against it. What? They went and they did divrei sheker on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What? You're going to tell me that they come and they're thinking something of Hashem? Hatam lachizu. They said no. There by the Seret HaShvatim, right? It was lachis it was to be angry, right? That they spoke against HaKadosh Baruch Hu divrei sheker, and they knew that there was nothing there. But Adam, that they met, it's by a human being, it's something different. Okay? Fine. So now says the Gemara, we're going to bring a proof. Right? They come and they were jealous of Moshe in the camp. Right? Do you know, every single person was jealous of Moshe. Meaning they started saying that maybe Moshe Rabbeinu did an avirah. So says the Gemara, no, it wasn't a chas v'shlom, there was something with Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? And tonight is Zayin V'Adar, right? Which is Moshe Rabbeinu. He says it's right, Zayin V'Adar Aleph, but still. Right? He says no, but still, it was because of Sinah. Because of the Sinah they had for Moshe, that's why they did it. It wasn't because they met, there was something there. So Tashma, we're also going to bring another proof. So he says, Alvai, right? That they should come and they should suspect, they should be in the plea that they suspect, and they don't actually have anything, which means, Alvai, that they should suspect them of doing something and they didn't have it. So says the Papa, for me, they suspected me, and I didn't actually have it. This is to do with the Gemara in Babatra. It says over here that either Shabbat Futchet or the Gemara in Babatra that he went up a ladder and he fell and he said, "What? You know, maybe right? Maybe it was Anani came to your hands and you didn't give him parnasa." So they suspected him, and Be'emet they didn't do that, but really Be'emet it could have been something else. Other people say it was another Gemara and Berachot. So there's different questions. What exactly was this referring to? Okay. Now says the Gemara. Right? La kashia, don't ask any. It's not a question. Right? If they're going to suspect him on something that it doesn't have the gam, so then we're going to talk about something which is going to be after a little bit of time that it's nothing. But the words that are being women and Sibli was talking about a kol sheno posek, that it doesn't stop. So if it doesn't stop, it means that there was something there, and that's why there was this gam. The kala de lo pasi kat kama, and a kol that doesn't stop until when? Right? Until when are we going to say that the kol is going to continue? My mother said, Dume de mata yom palga. Chashudei they're going to speak about it for a day and a half, right? And that is the shiud of a kol sheno posek. And Emile, when are these words? Lo pasik benomene. If it doesn't stop in between, stop in between. Pasik benomene. Don't worry about it. If it pasik benomene, if it stop, only if it stopped because of fear. Aval pasak mechamat ira. But if it did stop because of fear, lo, then don't worry about it. It's not considered a call, which is posek. Okay, velo amran ela de lo hadar navat. And then he comes and he says, I didn't say this only when, right, when the call is going to be someach, which means it's going to go out and sprout forth. Aval hadar navat, but if it goes back to the original, lo, we don't say that. Velo amran, and what are we talking about? Le oyevim, right? When we're not going to start suspecting of different people which are oyevim, which are going to be the enemies. Aval itle oyevim, but if he does have enemies, so then it's the enemies that are taking out the call. So you don't have to worry about it because they are going to be the enemies.